Situated?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting some recording next popping.
Okay.
Yeah, let's record.
Okay.
Let's see where we are. I was on here, I don't even know. Let's see. How do we do this? I don't care. I think it's good. Test, test. What's up, everybody? All right, we want to jump right into this and discuss some things that we did over the last little bit.
I think we should intro what we're doing, like before we just jump into it.
You want to talk about?
Well, first of all, yeah, we fight.
Okay. So, my wife and I, Julia, I'm Gerald, we decided that we wanted to start a podcast called Yeah, We Fight.
Definitely.
There's a lot of BS out there on the interwebs. We're gonna look at that camera right there, though.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of stuff on the interwebs of all of these families, or not families, but like
couples.
Yeah, like couples, husbands and wives, and I feel like you get one of two people on these shows, right? You get the red pill manosphere or the red pill womansphere. Those people are like, men suck or women suck or whatever. And then you get people that's like the blue pill people, right? I don't know if it's blue pill or not, but it's like the man should be making all the changes and the woman should just be able to sit around while the man like does what they're supposed to do, I guess.
I think
make all the changes. And I just don't think that shit is realistic, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's just about recognizing that like couples fight and just kind of bringing like a real life perspective to relationships and marriage, and kind of using ourselves as like the examples of things. Just
yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it needs to be true and honest. No fluff. None of this other crazy, like philosophical. It's like, let's just get in here and talk about real life, and let's talk about what people actually have to deal with. The fact that I don't need to go to therapy because I don't like my wife smacking in my ear, and that is a huge pet peeve of mine. That if you crunch on potato chips, like, I'm gonna lose my shizzle. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So like, that's the whole reason why I'm like, we need to start some sort of realistic podcast about marriage, so that we could talk about the small, petty stuff that we all deal with, we all go through. What you think?
I'm just not petty.
I am. I'm petty Pendergrass.
You know what? I'm not really petty. Like, you're really, really petty and you're quick-witted, which is irritating. Like, you have a comeback for everything. I'm not really, really petty. I just get like super emotional. I get all in my feels.
And you get in your feels?
I do. I get in my feels. I'm not really petty. I'm starting to actually, now that we've been together for a while, I've started to get a lot more snappier. I don't know if like that just happens. Like, ladies, like when we first got together, I was just like, oh my God, I love him. Like, he's amazing. He's just like, he's so manly. I love him. And then it's like, I just wanted to be happy. And then all of a sudden I was just like, if I could just choke you out right now.
Dang.
I would just choke you out. And like make you pass out for a good 3 minutes and then revive you.
Oh yeah. That's like borderline killing.
It is. It is, but I feel like in time, like you just become more vocal. So I'm not petty, but right now I definitely have more of a mouth on me that was not there.
That's what she said.
Oh, jeez. Just definitely wasn't there when we first got together. I was just too concerned with.
So what do you think is the difference now?
I think the difference is now that, like, I'm not going to make you happy all the time. And if tomorrow you decided to leave, that I would survive.
No, you wouldn't. I don't think you'd make it.
We all know that's a lie. But, yeah, I think that's it.
I don't think you'd make it. You think you'd make it without me?
I would be very sad. I'm not going to lie.
I didn't ask if you'd be sad. I asked would you make it.
Yeah, I'd make it. I'd make it.
You think so?
Yeah, I would. I would definitely try to, like, talk to you.
You try to holler at me?
I would.
That's not making it, Julia.
We've already established that relationship, you know, be like, oh, it's such a shame to waste it.
That's not making it. If you can't stay away from me, then you're not making it.
Oh, that's a fair point. Okay, we'll put it this way. I would eventually make it. I would eventually make it without you. Initially, I'd be a hot mess.
Well, I'll just be on the record and say I probably wouldn't make it. I wouldn't make it at all. I probably would lose 30 pounds because I wouldn't eat.
There'd be no one to feed you.
No one would feed me. No one would, like, wake me up in the morning and tell me I need to get up right now, shower, and get out of the house. No one would call me and be like, hey, everything good?
Did you feed the dog?
Yeah. No one would, no one also would, like, clean the throw up off the floor.
This is true. Which just brings us into the next, we're just going to jump right into real life.
About it.
Let's do it.
I have a story to tell. I have a huge story to tell, so follow me, all right? Let me get comfortable here.
Okay,
all right.
Story time.
Let me get comfortable and tell you about our night. So last night was one of the most epic nights of all time, for me at least. So I don't know if anybody is familiar with psilocybin or magic mushrooms. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what magic mushrooms are by now if you live in America and have been studying any form of health and mental health and everything like that. Psilocybin has come up. I tried my very first dosage of psilocybin or magic mushrooms all the way back in October of 2021.
Yeah.
With two buddies of mine. And I
broke back.
See?
Sorry. They were in the mountain, my bad.
Me and my buddies were in the mountains doing shrooms, running up the hills and like on fairy dust or whatever it may be. And I promise you, I had one of the most life-changing experiences of my life, like for real. Like I came to terms with some of the fears that I've been going through and some of the insecurities that I was able to like really button up. And I'm pretty sure you can attest that this last year has been definitely life-changing for me. I've definitely turned into a different person over this past year.
For sure.
Fast forward, I've done a magic mushroom trip twice. One with my buddies, one by myself. The one by myself wasn't as high of a dosage.
It's like a micro dosage?
Yeah, I guess so. It was just a little bit. Enough for me to get in my feelings and start crying and write novels into my iPad and stuff like that. But not enough to like hallucinate or anything like that. So fast forward to today, I've been having a little bit of mushrooms for, I don't know, a little bit of time because from a buddy of mine, whatever. We decided to take them last night so that Julia could have her very first trip.
Man. It was definitely something I've never experienced before.
Oh yeah. We'll start by saying that Julia found joy last night, and a whole hell of a lot of it. She found 4 hours worth of joy, at least, at a minimum.
At a minimum.
4 hours worth of joy, and she laughed the whole time, like that.
It just lets me know that my inner core is really just made of joy. I discovered that I'm literally made up of an immense amount of joy that I have to spread around. It's just really, it's as simple as that, Gerald.
That's what you came into. You know what? I think that's an interesting place to start, though. That's an interesting place to start because I don't take it lightly that psilocybin or magic mushrooms. I don't take it lightly that they do something.
Right.
And they do have a long-lasting impact. Let's talk about yours. Like, what did you come to terms with? Like, what did you learn about yourself during that time? I'm just gonna open up this athletic drinks who aren't a sponsor or anything, but I do drink
That would
them
be
in the
great.
morning.
They're really expensive.
No shit.
Okay, so me and my joy. Okay, so I first want to say that initially going in, you know, I was like preparing for something. Like I was really like, okay, we're about to do this. You know, we'd already taken our little drink. I was in the shower prepping for something. I'm not sure what I was doing, but I was a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. But what I did is I set an intention. I was in the shower by myself, washing my hair, and
Prepping to be high.
prepping. I was prepping for I was like, I'm gonna be super clean and ready. I had to shave my legs,
Super
like
clean.
the whole thing. Like I don't know what I was doing. I was preparing for something.
Fair
But
enough.
what I did was, I set the intention of. I was like, I invite joy into this space. I invite openness. I invite anything that needs to be revealed. Like I really just started talking to myself because I was concerned that I would end up like running butt naked down the street.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Just running like Will Ferrell in
Yes.
College Dropout.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I kept envisioning. And Gerald gave me like a pep talk beforehand that was like, don't open the door. You've got to stay. You're going to be in the room. Don't open the door. I was like, oh my God.
Now, I say this because Julia has a tendency to interact with the children at the most inopportune time. So we could be in like, I don't know, like just in the most inopportune time. She's just always just like, I don't know.
They live here. What can
Yeah,
I do?
like you're just always just like watching them. I'm like, yo, leave them alone. Like you are not in the space to be doing that. Well,
they come downstairs. What am I supposed to do?
yeah, I mean, but to be honest, and full disclosure, I legit had a full-fledged conversation last night, but we'll get into that. So keep talking about like your intentions. So you set your intentions.
Oh, hey, son. We're good.
You set your intentions for, close the door.
Okay, well,
Jeez, don't close it slow.
we can just tell them
Jeez.
what we're doing.
No, you can just close the door. So that was my son, just so you know. Like this is a real thing. We're not cutting it out. This is real life. We are married with children. So I'm gonna just yell and scream at them if they come in here. So back to what we were talking about last night. Julia found joy.
Okay.
A lot of joy. She laughed all night for at least 4 hours.
It's true.
And joy was radiating out of her body. Like she literally was laughing the whole entire time. Meanwhile,
Gerald's
I am
going
having
through. Gerald's going through.
the worst experience of my life. I feel like, so here's how we took the stuff, we blended it up in a green smoothie. Let me preface this by saying, I had been eating bullshit all day. Like, I'm talking about
Boxed potato skins.
Boxed potato
boxed
skins,
Chicken wings.
and those are the worst type of
cherries,
wings.
Hot, I don't know.
I was
cherry sours.
cherry sour candies and gummy worms, all types of crazy stuff. Don't do that. All right, if you ever want to try something magical, don't eat bull crap before. You should prep your body in advance. Like, and I know this, so I've done this a couple times, and everybody that I've talked to, they all say the same thing. You know, cut the drinking, and I don't drink, but cut the drinking, cut the everything that you do out, and start to prepare yourselves for an intentional thing when you know, take your magic ride. I did not. I was just like, yeah, I'll take it, boop, and just pop them down. And then I had the most ridiculous cramps that I ever had. Like I don't have a period.
Cramps.
I don't have a period, but I'm sure that if I did have a period, these cramps from these magical mushrooms were worse.
You did
100%.
You did look rough.
And I thought that it was a fart. What? I thought it was a fart. So I'm like, I'm going back and forth to the bathroom, prepping a fart. Legit trying to prep a fart.
Wow.
So I'm prepping this fart and it's not coming out. Like I feel like I'm trying to push it so hard that the insides of my intestines are going to come out.
It's really intense pushing.
Yeah,
Really
I'm like,
intense.
I'm going to poop out my lower intestines, inside out. And that, I don't know how I'm going to explain this to the doctors when I get there tripping
With your intestines
with my
hanging
intestines
out.
hanging out on my butt. Not the business. Not the business at all.
Meanwhile, I'm experiencing all the
Complete joy.
Complete joy.
While I'm in agonizing, excruciating pain, Julia is giggling and having the time of her life. Fast forward to the 4th time that I went into the bathroom with severe cramps.
I mean, he was really in there, like, I kept checking on him.
By this time, I am dripping sweat. Like, dripping sweat with the chills. And I'm like, I need to get whatever it is that is in me out of me. So I start pushing as if I didn't care if my intestines fell out completely. I was just like, I'm gonna just let them go because this is painful. And if this is the case, I'd rather just get rid of my entire lower intestine and poop the whole thing out as long as it gets me not feeling like this. So I start pushing. Oh geez, I pushed like my heart was coming out and I can feel it coming out.
Wow, this really feels really deep.
It is really deep.
I feel like this is a physical representation of like real life.
Maybe, but I'm pushing. I'm pushing. And it starts to slowly come out. And I'm like, oh no, this feels hard and dry. This is going to rip my intestines apart. I'm not going to make it. So I try to stop, but at that point, it's coming. It's coming. Halfway through the log, I start hurling. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And you know how you get those like extreme like convulsions, but nothing comes out. All that comes out is like a little chunk, and they just like, try to spit it out. It's crazy. So I am blowing chunks all onto my mat right in front of me. I'm sitting on the toilet, dropping the deuce and puking out my guts for 5 whole minutes. And Julia walks in and she's like, "Do you need some help?" I'm about to die. Like I'm literally about to die, and I'm glad you're so happy, but I'm just dead already.
No, like I kept checking on him. I went in there and a few times he's like, "Oh God, you just go. It's okay. Just go." I'm like, "You're right." Because in my mind, you know, I'm laying in the bed just like rolling all over the place, like just laughing, you know, in my heart. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm really joyful. Life has thrown me back and forth, but I'm amazing. You know, just all of that regular stuff. And then, you know, I heard Gerald in there. And it's like, oh my gosh, I promised I thought he kept talking to me, but he wasn't. So fast forward, so I guess go to the point. So I go in there and I see him on the toilet and he looks rough. He's sitting there. He's like, oh my God. Holding on to everything. I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh my God,
Toes curled like this.
Yeah, it was rough.
Feet balled up.
Yeah, it was really rough. I was like, are you okay? And then all of a sudden, and I was
you know it's real when you sit on the toilet and you do this right here.
The toe curl. I guess the toe curl can actually be associated with many things in life: pain, joy.
That's what she said.
Yeah, it is. That's
I'll
exactly
make it toes curl.
It's exactly what I was discussing. But
I bet.
glad you caught that. But no, like I was really concerned. I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm over here, you know, just discovering that I'm made of literally 100,000 molecules of joy. And I go in there to help Gerald, and I was like, oh my God, he is going through it right now. I was like, he's got to let all this out. Like I didn't associate it at all with like the bull crap. I actually just thought, wow, his body's really getting rid of everything he needs to get rid of. I just thought you were like pooping and throwing up. Like,
you thought I was having the experience?
Yes, I was like,
and I was letting that stuff come up out of me.
I
was
was like,
was.
wow. I was like, wow, Gerald really must have some deeply hearted things that he's just got to get out of his body. And that's what I thought.
Yeah,
and then
I did.
And then I realized
10 milligrams of psilocybin.
Yeah. But then I realized that Joe doesn't do well with throw up. So he's going to throw up because of his own throw up.
Oh, I'm a baby. Like I'm throwing up because of the the psilocybin, and then I threw up the last 2 times because I was throwing up.
So he made himself throw up
Yeah.
because of his throw up.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that's throw up.
So, you know, he's in the shower dying, and, you know, I just gently cleaned up. You know, he's like, it's okay, I can clean up later. I'm like, ah.
Oh, it splattered all over the shower door. It's crazy. I know people are like, this is gross. I was not expecting this, but it's a real honesty. So, you walked in right as I was blowing chunks.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think when I was just like hurling my guts out?
My first thought was that this is part of the experience and you needed to release things from your body. My second thought was, oh dear God, I hope he's okay, because I don't want to have to explain this to people of like what's going on. Like they find you on the bathroom floor and puke, and I'm like over here giggling while they're trying to like revive you.
Mm-hmm.
I was just envisioning all the possibilities of people finding us and me having to explain what was going on. Like, well, officer, what had happened was I called the people to revive my husband over here because we were just hanging out, you know. I just envisioned all these things, and
Yeah, come in there and they're like, so what happened? Why you're giggling?
yeah, because it was uncontrollable.
Full of joy.
It was uncontrollable.
Yeah, it was one of the craziest experiences because after all of that happened, like I can still feel some of the remnants of it, but it was pretty much gone for me. Like it was not gone, but like a mild dose. So like more inclined to like the second dose that we had and not the first one. You know what I mean? That was the difference. But you were still like going through it. Like I came out a couple times and you were crying, but not like crying like sadness, just like fucking crying. You know, like it's such an overwhelming sense of emotion that is even deeper than like what your normal emotions would be in those scenarios.
Right. I think there's like this moment for me personally of just like coming to terms with certain aspects about myself, like recognizing that. So outwardly there was laughing and I was discovering joy, but I think on a deeper level in the inside was what I wasn't able to vocalize is just understanding that who I am as a person really does come from a pure place. And I actually really think that about a lot of people. Like we all come in and we're kids and we're learning life and we don't experience pain yet. And then life has a way of like altering that naturalness. You experience trauma, you experience hurt, you experience joy, all these different types of emotions, and sometimes things good and then bad, but that affects us. So it affects how we show up. So I think there's this moment of recognizing that how I've shown up into multiple situations hasn't really been the authentic me. I've shown up as the hurt me. I've shown up as the angry me. I've shown up as the protective me. I've shown up vulnerably as well. But so many situations I've shown up in not being me. It's that representative. And I think connecting with that and realizing that if I can walk away from this with one thing, it's always reminding myself to come back to that place. Coming back to that place of joy. It came out in that way, but it was a lot deeper than that for me. Just as a person, being able to say, okay, I need to bring this back to my center, to the center of who I am. You know, and connect with that, because that's how I'm going to be a better me for me. That's how I'm going to be able to connect with my kids. That's how I'm going to be able to be patient with you and support you and all of those things in like arguments, like with we fight. You know, if I can come to you and recognize, am I being me in this moment, or am I being defensive because I'm scared? And that's how I looked at it, you know what I mean? Because I get very defensive in arguments. I get very defensive, and I think it's part of my communication style, but I think it's also part of fear. Of, you know, I genuinely care about you. You know, I mess with you a lot, but actually, I do. I genuinely care about you.
Oh, that's good.
And
definitely a good trait to have in a marriage.
Yeah, like, I care about what you think of me. Like, I don't care about how a lot of people think of me. I don't. But I care about how you think of me. Like, I want to show up for you differently. So I recognize that in those moments, I allow that fear to come in and then like alter really the goal. So I don't want to lose sight of that and realize and recognize that I need to stop what I'm doing right now because it's not working towards that greater good. It's not working towards a resolution or anything, a joyful moment, all of it. And then Gerald's in the bathroom dying. Well, I'm just coming to terms with all.
Yeah, me dying. The me dying part is secondary though to the experience. You know what I mean? Because the huge thing that the huge takeaway is you don't really know what a person is dealing with on the inside despite their external display. Because from my vantage point, it looked to me like she was a train wreck. One minute she's laughing, most of the minutes she's laughing, but also she's crying, and then she's laughing, then she's crying some more, and you're like, oh yeah, I've already experienced this, so I'm not worried. I know she's going through it. But then when you talk about it afterwards, and she's like, no, I found out something else a lot deeper than just laughter. Not that I found joy, but that I am joy. And not only am joy, that is where I've always been trying to get back to.
Yes.
And the struggle with joy is all of these ways that we try to get back.
Yeah.
And for you, it was joy.
Yeah.
Right?
For me, definitely.
For me, it was confidence and peace. Like, I'm a confident person on the inside, but there are things that will like literally just kick me off the path. Like without warning, just boop, kick me right off the path. For real. It would just kick me off the path. So it's like the internal struggle that we have is knowing that I'm confident, but then seeing the actions and knowing that they don't look very confident at all. And that's the same thing in marriage, right? So like if I look at my marriage with you, like I love you, right?
Right.
But then you look at, like, I've done some stupid stuff, you know, that would in view be like, that is not what people who love their wives do.
Right.
But I do love my wife, and I do understand that thing that I did is true. Like it does not show. But so where is the conflict, and who is the conflict with? It feels like the conflict is always with ourselves, and then what we bring into the situation is what we have done to other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes I think that the hardest part of navigating a relationship is, how can you stay honest and true and authentic to yourself without causing harm or detriment to the people that you actually care for, right? So it's like, I just think that marriage is crazy. It's super interesting, but it's one of those things that is so different for each couple.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you man, woman, man, dog, man, friendships, or whatever it may be. Platonic relationships, work, it's all the same thing. It's all built on the basic foundations of the same thing. The only difference that makes my relationship with you different than my relationship with, let's say, one of my friends, is that we do the nasty.
It's true. I was gonna say that you get to see me naked, which is a treat for real.
And I don't want to see some of my friends naked. So I don't want to see any of my friends naked. Actually, now that I think about it.
I was like, which friends?
Yeah, no
Do
friends.
tell.
There's not
Do
a single
tell.
friend that I would prefer to see naked right now. But like, I personally believe that the foundation of those things are all the same. What you think?
No, I agree. And I think in the relationship, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if there's like a breakdown before we come into a relationship, or if we're fed a lot of things like expectations, or just not aware of self. Like, I see a lot of people, and now that we're a little older, I talk to like my girlfriends and people, and it's like there was not a lot of self-awareness, so there was no way of learning how to self-regulate, and so you bring all of that into a relationship, and we almost become very comfortable. I feel like a lot of us are comfortable with compartmentalizing each aspects of ourselves. So this friend group only sees this part of me, or my family sees maybe a more true version of me because that's my family and I'm comfortable with them. I feel like we compartmentalize parts of ourselves, and in a relationship, I feel like sometimes we can do the same thing. Like I felt like for a while, like I couldn't show you all of me because I felt like certain parts of me weren't okay. So it's like I showed up differently. It was still me, but it wasn't really true. And then that snowballs into a lot of things. So I think that there can be sometimes a lack of self-awareness and understanding that makes the relationship really difficult. So if we can somehow find a way to help people, I feel like, connect with that, then we can give them the tools. Because you're right, each marriage, each relationship is so different. I can't tell my children, do what your dad and I did.
No,
because I can't do that. I tell the kids all the time, Gerald and I spend a lot of time together. We talk a lot. We spend a lot of time just beside each other.
Which means we fight a lot because of that.
Right. So it's like I tell my kids, like, don't look at your dad and I and think that you're going to get into a relationship and they're going to want to sit with you in the way that we do. Because this is us.
But they shouldn't.
Well, the thing is, no, what I'm saying is, if they want that,
Gotcha.
They have to find somebody that wants that. Don't think that don't use us as the example of this is just how it is. I looked at my parents, and my dad is very affectionate. My grandfather's really affectionate. They're always touching on, I genuinely thought that I was going to get with Gerald, and I was just going to be like, he's going to be rubbing my back. He's going to be holding my hand. Like, I really thought that's how it was going to be.
Skipping through the daffodils?
Yes. And
thank you.
That is not it. I had no idea. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that some people don't like to be touched. I had no idea that was actually a thing. And I found him. I found him right here. Here he is.
Yeah, I don't like to be touched.
And I'm the most physically affectionate person. Like, super affectionate.
Yeah. Very affectionate. And I think the goal of the podcast and the show, because this is our introductory show on the heels of me pooping and throwing up all over my bathroom floor. But the goal is we're not here to give you advice. You know what I mean? We're here to give you permission to be comfortable and to structure your marriage or relationship however it needs to be structured so that it fits you and your partner. Like, the problem that I have is that we keep coming to the table with these ideas that men are supposed to be like this, women are supposed to be like this, and here are all the things that make a man. Here's what a man has to take out the garbage. They need to do yard work. They need to do all of these things. And a woman stays home. They cook, they clean, they do all of this stuff. It doesn't actually have to be like that. It really needs to be what you and your partner agree to. I have plenty of friends who aren't dominant, stereotypical alpha males, which I don't really like that term. I need to come up with a different term for alpha. What do you want to call them?
I think they just don't fit into the stereotypical.
Whatever the stereotypical standard is for a man, I have a bunch of friends that aren't like that. And they actually attract women who fit that role. And it doesn't mean that they are less of a man or less of anything. They are actually, in my opinion, very strong men to be able to accept their role that they're good at and uplift their wife in the role that they're in and be happy and not feel less of a man. And I used to talk mad crap about these two dudes. About how soft they were. And then you realize, like, they're probably the most honest and straightforward people that I know and have the most genuine relationships with their wives. And over the past 2 years, since I've opened up emotionally to my wife a lot more, I've done the same thing. Mm-hmm. You know, I tend to believe that a lot of my current actions are maybe a lot more beta, but most of them are, here's the thing is, and I don't want to ramble, right? Is your relationship is your relationship, and we need to stop letting other people tell us what's right and wrong. Go with what fits, because if you want a long marriage, the only thing that you need to do is not get divorced. And if you want a healthy marriage, then you need to communicate. So as long as you're communicating your desires and everything else with your significant other, and that person respects how you feel, what you think, and is willing to change for you, I don't find a problem with it. But that's my opinion.
No,
what do you think?
I
Did I ramble that a little bit?
You talk a lot, but I think it's okay. I'm gonna chime in a little bit.
Go ahead.
I think for me, it's not. It's about. I'm gonna type kind of back into the whole like man expectations type thing. So we have 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, and I think for me, it's about giving people permission to be exactly who they are, so that they can have really strong relationships with people that fit that. You know what I mean? We don't need to be friends with everybody. We don't need to be in relationships with everybody. So when you know who you are, you're able to put people around you that really feed into that. And I think, as in particular, talking about what you're saying about being a man, I think it's about giving men permission to be who they are and not who they think they should be. We have 2 boys, and our boys are some of the most loving, sweet kids. Now Dominic, our oldest, is, sorry son, is 20. He's gonna be 21, and he really is such a loving young man. Like, he cares about the people that he's with. He's really attentive. He's really affectionate, and people can view that. You know, he's a hard worker. Like, I'm gonna work my 9 to 5. He wants a family. Now, people can look at that and be like, oh, you don't want to own your own business. You don't want to. And the thing is, I don't want the world to tell my boys that they're not okay because
they're not men.
Right, that they're not men because they feel deeply. There's nothing wrong with feeling deeply. It connects you to the people around you. I am extremely emotional, and I connect to people that way. The only issue I have is if I allow my emotions to go rampant. Now, that's a me thing. I have to learn to be more self-aware. But I think that's the thing. I'm kind of trying to break down this concept of man and women and what the expectations are, because there's an expectation for Gerald and I within our relationship, and it looks like a very, quote unquote, traditional.
Yeah.
But that's something that we agreed to. That's something that we wanted. It works for us.
Exactly.
I make your plate. It's a personal thing. You don't have to make your husband's plate. I won't even tell you need to. I do it because I love him. It's a cultural thing. There's a lot of things around that.
Yeah. But if your husband says, hey, can you make my plate? I think you should consider it, though. You know what I mean? I think, and that's the part in relationships that we really want to get into. It's like, for example, I'm not affectionate, like she said. Never have been. Well, I probably was really early on, but life happens and you start to develop this hardened shell. I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps as well. I was
affectionate when I was New Bay.
Yeah, like that when I was trying to get them draws. I was being super affectionate, but my default person isn't very affectionate. I forgot where I was going with this, but my default isn't affectionate. But when she asks, hey, I need affection, I kept ramming down this idea that I don't need to be affectionate because I'm not affectionate. And I think that's wrong as well. Like, if the person that you love asks you to make a change, I'm not saying that you need to change. I'm saying that you should have a discussion about it, because no is not an adequate answer. In word or action, no is not adequate. If it's going to be a no, there needs to be some clear understanding as to why. Period. So I don't want to, my thing with marriage, and we've been married 14 years, been together 18 years. So, we've seen a lot of marriage. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of marriage fall apart. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been in a marriage. I've been in a wedding where, I was in the wedding and I couldn't even get my tuxedo back to the place before they was divorced, So I think there's space for people, because I think one of the biggest reasons why marriage doesn't work is that the reason why it doesn't work is because women and men come into marriages with their idea of what a wife is supposed to be already set in stone. And if that person doesn't meet whatever they've been told over their lives of a good man or a good woman, if that person doesn't meet that completely, then it isn't it, and that ain't right. It can't be right. Won't be right.
Sure.
And that's what we're going to talk about. We are going to pull back the veil on our marriage.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to get tough. We're going to pull back the veil on our marriage, combine that with some of our insights that we learned, and hope that you can take it and improve yours. And we'll have other married couples come on the show. We'll do some one-on-one stuff with just her and I. We'll do some one-on-one stuff with her and wives, and we'll do some one-on-one stuff with me and husbands. And we'll just kind of figure this out together as a group, because regardless of what people may say, I don't care if you want to call it marriage or not, but we're not meant to be alone. So you might as well find somebody that fits. And it's going to take some work. So we want to appreciate you. Well, not appreciate, but thank you. We want to thank you for listening, and however you listen, whether you listen to us live or you listening to this on a podcast or whatever it may be.
Right. We
just thank you for it all. We're going to try something new. But I don't want to ramble, because that's what I'll do. I stand on my soapbox and I beat my chest.
I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank all of you. You get a thank you. You get a thank you. Oprah, everyone gets a thanks.
You talking shit?
Definitely not. No, thank you for allowing us to come in. It's a safe space, everyone. Welcome to the safe space. Welcome to the safe space that Gerald and I have been consistently working on for a long time. And we invite you to create your own safe space so you can build the relationships that you want.
So you can go fight safely.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so we thank you, everybody, for listening, and we are out.
I think you have to clean up.
And that's a wrap.